How you going? Long time no see. I'm deep out here in the most western rainforest or national park. It's not the most western national park, but it's the most western rainforest from where I live. It's absolutely breathtaking. I'm a bit hesitant to give away the location due to what has taken place here. I don't want people to come here and annoy the local people, being the Yowies. I know that sounds a bit full on straight away for the start of this video. I have no chill. I just scared away a camper who was about to set up, and I told him I had a Yowie yelling at me last night, right where he put his camper trailer. So I was very polite. I engaged in conversation. I said, "Where are you from?" "Oh yeah, I'm from here." "Very good. By the way, there was a Yowie there screaming at me last night, 30-40 metres away from where I was camping." He says, "I'm a bit sceptical." I said, "That's all right." And then I started talking about aliens and ETs, and in about 5 minutes he left. So, was I lying? No. Did I want him camping there? No. Could I have had a bit more chill in my conversation? No, I got no chill. There's a prime example. So I'm here again tonight on my own, and that's what I wanted, I suppose. But I'm not on my own in another way. So yeah, this is my third night here. My second night at this campsite. My first night was at an overcrowded campsite right at the entrance of the national park, and it was just people everywhere. The sky, there was so much activity in the sky, flashing, ships flying, powering up, and out of a whole campsite, probably 20 people, 25 people, I was the only one that saw anything. They were all distracted by their drinking and talking and whatever, and it's just funny how some people can see things and some people won't. So the second night, which was last night, I'm way up in the back of the national park at the furthest campsite, and yeah, it was a pretty good night. Right behind me, in this tree line, I had the closest sighting to date of an ET craft, and what I saw was, at the start of this tree line, it looked like someone was just waving a light in behind the trees, and the light probably emanated 3, 4, 5 feet behind the trees, just like that. And there was Yowie activity prior to seeing that, so I thought, well, with the Yowie phenomenon, is there lights? So I thought, oh, okay, the Yowies have lights, or they're doing something to indicate to me. So I stood and watched it. I had my back to the fire. I was standing, it was freezing, standing to the fire, warming my front, warming my back. And I saw this light in the trees. So it started moving in behind the tree line. From up in these trees, just moved perfectly straight, nice and slow. And the light eventually got bigger and bigger as it came out behind these trees. Now this is about 50 metres away from where I'm standing. if that, 50 metres. Comes out. Once it gets into the gaps of these bigger trees, the light starts to materialise into a craft, a big V, and I'm starting to see the bottom structure of a craft. So it was a very small light, turned into a bit of a V, a craft, and then it turned into a near completed full visual craft, and that's what it looked like when it was fully manifested. And then it started to disappear the other way, and the light went out and you could only see the top of the craft, and then the top just turned into this faint misty looking stuff. So this was a pretty this was a light the whole time, this bottom section, and everything that appears to be like a balloon shape, like a parachute shape, was like a misty like a misty smoke, like a luminescent misty smoke with the light at the bottom. And that's what the shape of the craft was. It looked like a balloon with a basket, but the whole thing was the craft. So yeah, that was pretty full on. That was about 7:30 at night. And prior to that, just as the sun went down, I started hearing noises. I heard just over behind me like a toy whistle, like a. It didn't sound like a bird whistle at all. And then straight after the whistle, it was like a. So it was like a. And I've heard the Yowies do sound like that as well. So I turned around in the dark, shone my light, didn't see anything, and I spoke to it, let it know that I knew it was there, and then from there on I could hear. So I'm on a ridge line, got a bit of a valley behind me and then a massive valley below on the other side, and both sides it was like they were talking to each other. There could have been 3 or 4 from what I know, from what I heard, what I was sort of picturing, and they were sort of making sounds back and forth to each other. So I only heard that sound once, but I heard them down in the valley below me, and they were communicating with each other back and forth. And to describe the sound, it would be like if you've heard a green tree frog being eaten by a snake. A lot of Australians would have heard that sound. It's not a pleasant sound, but that sound sped up, and like a DJ was sort of spinning it back and forwards, and it had like a bit of a bounce to it. It's just, I can't make the sound. So I sat around the campfire and I was listening to that for a while, and I was thinking, how can I let them communicate with them? How can I let them know I'm listening? So I did some whistling, I did some talking, some chanting, and then before I went to bed I played a flute after I'd hear them talk. So I sat with the flute in my hand, I'd hear the sound, and then I'd play the flute. I'd stop, let a bit of time go by, same thing, I'd hear the sound. I did that a few times, and then they stopped talking to each other. They were fairly consistent at the start of the night, talking back and forth, and then they stopped. So the first night I didn't sleep in the camp. People making noise, and my excitement. I think I woke up at 3 a.m, zipped up, opened the swag, put my head out, the sky was lit up, just put my head out and there's just stuff flashing above me. I'm like, that's cool. Sat and watched it for a while, didn't really go back to sleep. So yeah, last night, so that's what I was saying. So I was tired, so I didn't stay up for long. So last night I went straight back to bed after this interaction went on for a little bit. Could have been 8:30, 9 o'clock, fairly early. I finally fall asleep, and I am, you know, when you've just fallen asleep, you just fell into that heavy sleep, you could have been snoring. I got awoken. What's that noise? Is that a, does a wild dog have a wallaby or something? Something's in distress. But it was one of these beings, one of these people, yelling at me, getting my attention, letting me know it was there. And it probably yelled 40 to 50 times, about 30 to 40 metres away. I know that sounds like a lot, but it was just consistently going, this is gonna be funny. It's just doing that. And it's obviously getting my attention or letting me know that it's there. So I woke up in a fright, the old heart's beating. Oh, yep. So I zipped open the swag, stuck the head out, shone the light. I couldn't see anything. Looking back, I probably should have gotten out and engaged with this being, or tried to find it. But in a way, win-win. You know, it's an awkward thing, and fear may have come over me, but I wasn't scared. Looking back, I'm out here in the bush. I came this far. I should have just put my shoes on, got out of the sleeping bag, gone and tried to find it, but you know, I'm being vulnerable right now. This is a weird thing to do. Seeing the craft, that's the biggest craft I've ever seen. Silently moved 50 metres away from me. I was calm as a cucumber, but engaging with the hairy man of the bush, it was just a bit awkward. So I just thought, well, I'm going to go back to sleep. Once I opened the swag, stuck my head out, have a look, it stopped. As far as I'm concerned, it let me know it was there, and all is good. I was okay with it. I tried to go back to sleep. I could hear footsteps around the camp throughout the night, all night. So they were around. I once heard that frog sound, like but a whisper. Oh, that's what I wanted. That's what I forgot. This is why I'm making a video right now. So while it's fresh in my memory, and you got to excuse me, I got a headache. I haven't slept for 2 nights. Been exploring. I'm exhausted. The legs are sore. But I've got another 4 nights to go, so I'm going to be documenting everything as I go. While it was getting my attention and yelling out to me, in the middle of my mind, it was just like a bell going off, like a hum, like a chime or a tone was going off, and it was just consistent. It probably lasted for a few minutes, and it wasn't tinnitus, anything like that. It was either from this being, whether they have that capability to sort of telepathically pass that across to you, or the ETs could have been mediating the situation, and they could have been giving me that tone. So I have a lot more questions, and the next 4 nights is going to be interesting. If that was the first night that I was alone, what transpired. So yes, it's all happening. It's cold, the middle of July, middle of winter in Australia. Where I am is called the rooftop of Queensland. It's way up on the Great Dividing Range. Yeah, so every person's journey when they're involved in this is fairly unique to their own experience. There's no manual on how to have this experience, and it's not for everyone. It's not everyone's cup of tea. I suppose this is my interest. It's what I am interested in, so it's what I seek. This is my joy. And also I'd like answers, I suppose. I don't need answers. I would like answers. I would like to know more, understand more. I've kept my ear to the ground. I've observed what's been going on. I don't chase information or seek information really to understand. I'm now putting a focus on my own experience to understand, to get answers, because there's so much information out there. And it's all going to come out eventually. I've been sitting here ruminating for days. Driving out here, it was a 9-hour drive. And I was ruminating. And that first night, a lot of activity. Whether they're listening and saying, follow your thoughts, you know, or share your thoughts. Be vulnerable. Now, I'm not trying to be dramatic or seek attention, but I can remember abduction type experiences as a child, clear as day. The fright and terror that doesn't leave your memory. Now, what happens after that, no idea. But I can remember at night, going to bed, just before you fall asleep, having visitors, and that happened several times. And yeah, it's just funny, I've got no memory of what happened after. I've got an implant in my left hand that's been there since I was a child, and I can remember the day I approached my parents and said, "What's this?" On that same day I was trying to rip it out with my teeth. so I was trying to rip it out with my teeth. Oh, don't worry, Matthew, it's nothing. Just ignore it. Which I did. You forget about it for years, and then all the experiences seem to connect, and the next minute you're in the bush and Yowie's yelling at you. So, yeah. Do I need answers? No. Am I wishing to seek answers? Yes, that'd be great. Will they come in time? I'm sure they might. Interesting. Is it a reminder? Just a something to remind me to remember later? I don't know. I'm in this situation now, out here in the bush having experiences. I don't think anyone from the establishment's going to fess up, say what's been going on. Genetic programs, breeding programs, secret programs, who knows? Is Earth a prison planet? Or is it a hard school, like Dolores Cannon says? Is the line very fine? I don't know. Like I said, I'm not dramatic. I don't want to seek attention. I definitely don't want to seek attention. But, yeah, I suppose it's all going to come out one day. I hope the hairy man comes back tonight. I'm going to get out of the tent. The swag, I'm going to get out and I'm going to say hello. I think it's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And like I said, I've got a headache. I haven't slept for 2 nights. Hardly for 2 nights. So I'm going to go have a nap. When the sun goes down, I'm going to get up, light a fire, and chant to the stars. Alright, we'll check out the sleeping arrangement. Alright. Doing it in style. 1 layer of foam, standard, with the swag. Then I customised it with another 3 layers. So you don't have to be uncomfortable out here in the bush, or cold. -3 sleeping bag, and then a blanket over top, pillow, fly screen, canvas. Not bad. A little bit of a contradiction with the swag. Might have to get rid of it after this camping trip because it is called the King's Big Daddy Deluxe. Now, it's 2023. Should it be King's Big Non-Birthing Parent Deluxe? Or should it be non-birthing person, non-birthing crown-wearing person, big non-birthing parent deluxe? Yes. Alright, I'll just leave that one there. I've got a pretty basic setup. This is the bathtub shower combo. That's an old crab cooker, gas bottle, got a gas element, and then I just use that bucket to shower the crab cooker. Obviously crabs haven't been cooked in there for a long time, but nice warm water, butt naked out in the middle of nature. Yeah, that's how we do it. Got to keep your hygiene up. One thing I forgot to mention is check the shirts out. Got some shirts made up. Safe, protected, sacred, loved, blessed. Should have thrown infinite, eternal on the bottom. Got a nice space theme there. Safe, protected, sacred, loved, and blessed. You know it. Alright, well, last night was a fairly rough night. My headache progressed into a migraine, and it's still lingering now. So before nightfall I just went to bed, and I forgot to even lock the car. I was that exhausted. Maybe I overdid it the first couple of days, running around the national park, hiking in the sun, carrying my backpack. I thought I was drinking enough water, but maybe it all just caught up with me, the fatigue. So last night was another night's of woeful sleep. I thought I'd go al naturel and just go to sleep without any painkillers. The headache might pass, turn into a migraine. At 2 AM I was laying there awake in bed, and I had something, a rock or a pebble thrown at the side of the swag. Someone threw a rock at Big Daddy swag, and it caught my attention. So I'm laying there awake, and I thought, well, I'm going to get out, I'm going to have a look. So I've got the headlight and I'm shining it around, and prior to getting up I thought, well, this headache's getting ridiculous, I'm going to take some painkillers. So I went straight to my car first. I got 2 Panadol, had them, and then I looked around, couldn't see anyone, and that tree right there, I urinated on it, and as I was doing a wee, a rock was thrown right in front of me. I had my headlight on my head, and with the trajectory of how intensely this pebble or rock was thrown, probably the size of a thumbnail, maybe a bit bigger, I could see it didn't come from very far away to my right. So I just, with the headlight on, looked over there. I didn't see anyone. So it's almost like that rock just came out of thin air. So a little bit of activity. Yeah, you could put that down to the hairy man. I had the 2 Panadol in my hand. I said, Yowie brother, look, I need these, I've got a headache. Just getting up out of the swag, going to the car and getting those Panadol was excruciating. I laid back down in the swag and my head was throbbing. So it has eased up a bit now. Today's just a rest day and I'm just going to take it easy. This is I've got a bee flying around me. This is meant to be my last night at this campsite. I've got another 2 nights at another 2 campsites further on in the national park, but I'm just thinking tonight I'll give it a red hot go of interacting with brother Yowie and see what happens. And if it's a good night, I'll just stay here because I'm having a great time up here. It is fairly windy up on this ridge line, so you've got to pin everything down. But it's beautiful up here. Alright, that was the 3rd night. I don't even know what day it is anymore. I'm not looking at my phone. It's fantastic. When I said in yesterday's video that it's weird interacting with the hairy man of the bush, I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. It's very confronting if you haven't done it before. And I mean no disrespect. I'm honoured to be out here and having these experiences, and I am coming out here with respect. I'm paying respect to the elementals and nature spirits and the land, Mother Earth, the Star Nations, the traditional people of this land, and I'm doing it genuinely from the heart. And these experiences are happening. I pick up any bit of rubbish I can find in the campsite that people have left before me. I attempt to leave no trace myself when I come out here. So I think that's the trick to engaging these people. And they are a people. Now that rock, you know, I believe, or I think, they're a lot more advanced than humans, and they probably don't need technology. They don't need a car, they don't need an iPhone, a GPS system. They've progressed naturally, organically, and they've got abilities that we don't have. So that rock just came out of thin air as far as I'm concerned. So they're, are they interdimensional? Do they have the ability to be physical, non-physical, and interact with us? Do they use these spots to live in? Do they go somewhere else as well? Or do they live here full time and they just have that interdimensional ability? You soon realise that we're sharing this planet with a lot more than we're told. And every part of the world has a story of the hairy man. And I don't think they're all the same. I don't think our Australian Yowie is the same as the Bigfoot or Sasquatch in America. I think the Bigfoot and Sasquatch, from my understanding, are big, muscular beings. These guys, these Yowies in Australia are too. I think we definitely have them here. But there's the longer, slender looking ones and the little short ones as well. You hear about them. And the pebble throwing, from what I've heard online, that is a common theme with the hairy man in the bush. They'll throw pebbles. Sometimes they'll bang on trees, bang rocks together, or come 30, 40 metres away from your campsite and yell at you. It's a rest day today, tonight. I will engage a lot more. Just take it easy, stay hydrated. Looking forward to it. Alright, see you later. I've just had my shower, my 5-star shower out of a bucket, butt naked in nature, and now I'm just stroking Big Daddy. How about that? Room with a view. Woo! Not bad. I can see why the Yowies want to live out here. Well, how about that? Alright, so I have listed a few notes, things I'd like to discuss. This is my style. This is how I flow. So that ship last night, I'm not sure if I mentioned it, it was probably 10 to 15 metres across at the top of the balloon sort of structure shape. Maybe if it was a fully manifested craft, it might look like one of those spinning toys, but it was in that sort of parachute type shape, like a spinner, I suppose you could call it. So it's probably 10 to 15 metres across and about 20 metres high, 15 to 20 metres in height. So that was my observation from about 50 metres away. And an important thing I'd like to discuss is proof. Well, I don't have to prove anything to anyone. I've had enough experiences now myself to know what is and isn't real. And I believe if you come out here with a camera and you're sitting at the ready, you might shut that experience off. So, and it could be also well, my understanding is it can be viewed as disrespectful to that other being. And I would rather have the experience myself than film it or photograph it and show someone else. I'm more than happy to try and do that, but just this weekend, this camping trip, it's not my priority. And like I said, I think it's somewhat disrespectful, and you could probably have a lesser experience if that was your intention. And why does everything happen at night? This is something I have been pondering. My observations are everything is a lot stiller. There's less noise. Obviously you can have daytime sightings of extraterrestrial vehicles, UFOs, the hairy man of the bush, the Yowie, the Sasquatch. You're going to see them throughout the day, but my experience here this weekend so far is everything's happening at night. So that was my observation. It could be a lot easier to have that experience. You might not hear a Yowie in the day with all the noise. Discussing abduction experiences yesterday without being dramatic. I don't think it's all ET. It could be humans doing it to other humans. It could be humans working with ETs doing to humans. I think it's all going on. It's all happening. But I'm here. I'm breathing. I'm completely fine. So that's all that matters. It's important to try not to get too caught up in the drama, but still share information, person to person, if it's appropriate, about what you've heard or what you've come across, or your understanding of the nature of reality and how the politics, not just on Earth, but interdimensional politics, is all happening. People do have a right to know, and I think that's all unfolding now amongst society. So I've had missing time experiences during the day. I was reading a book somewhere close to home where I used to go meditate quite a lot at day and at night, and I was sitting there middle of the day. It was a winter's day, had my hoodie on, it was nice and warm, reading my book, sitting under a eucalyptus tree, big gum tree, and I had a massive shade outline to my right on the ground, and it wasn't windy. I'm sitting there reading a line on the book, and as I'm reading the line, that shade from that branch was 1.5 to 2 meters to my left, just like that. So I thought, well, that's pretty amazing. So I kept reading my book. So I can say that might have been a positive experience. It didn't detriment my life in any way, shape or form. So I can compare that to my childhood experiences and say, well, you know, was one positive, was one negative, was one just what it was? Yeah, like I said, I'm trying to piece it all together. What else have we got? I suppose what is important in this time for people to realise is the non-physical structure of reality itself. And there are dimensions. And like I said, there's interdimensional politics. You're on Earth. This place is a paradise, and like I said yesterday, is it a prison planet or a really hard school? Like I said, I got no chill, that's a bit full on. I wake up every day with gratitude for being here. This place is amazing and beautiful, and I have had a wonderful experience my whole life. I love being out in nature, fishing, camping. As a child, I just used to, on family holidays, there you go, family holiday. I was lucky enough to have a family holiday. How amazing was that? But I'd go by myself and just sit on a creek bank, on a saltwater creek bank, wherever we went. I'd find the creek, I'd walk to it, have my fishing rod, my bucket, my esky, my cast net, and I'd sit there for 8 hours. And I would just tune in, get the sun on my skin, and that's just me. I just love to be alone in nature, always have. And I have a roof over my head, I have clean water at home, I have food in the fridge, people that care about me. I am blessed beyond recognition. But Earth is a ghetto, and this place is whack. And it's all happening. So you don't have to judge it, but we do have a right to know about what's been going on. And if I share an experience and that helps someone else, well then so be it. That's fantastic. The sun's about to go down. This is a massive valley behind me, full of mountains. The birds are all just starting to go quiet. I've got a fire made, ready to go. I scared off another camper today, but this time I invited them, and the husband was keen. Out of the husband and wife, he was keen. He wanted to hang around. He was very interested. But the wife said to him, well, I'll drop you off and I'll come pick you up tomorrow. So I'm not sharing the swag. And yeah, that was it. He just had to do it as he was told. But he's from Victoria, and I gave him the details of a sanctuary down there that does sky watches, and I think he's going to chase it up. He seems fairly interested. He didn't write me off. I gave it to him all straight up. And yeah, he was quite interested in what I was doing. There's been other cars coming and going today, checking the campsite out, but no one stayed. So, should be a good night. It was very cloudy last night. I don't have a migraine right now, winning. Where else would you want to be? Alright, let's do it. Oh, by the way, got the Infinite and Eternal shirt on tonight, under the dryzer. This is a dryzer bone. Everyone in Australia knows what a dryzer bone is. It's a leather jacket. Alright, we're on. So last night was interesting. I lit the fire, and as the sun went down, I could hear them calling out to each other. There was one up behind me and another couple down below the ridge line. And that's how it's been the last several nights. There's been one up behind me, two down below. They're doing that that sound to each other. Now I've made up my own word. It's not like a screech, but like a screeber. it's got like a bounce and a pop. So I came up with that word, screamer. I don't know if anyone's used that terminology before, but it's got like a bounce and a pop to it. It's hard to explain. I whistled back and spoke back to them and let them know I was listening. And I probably went to bed 8:30 to 9 o'clock. So I got tired, spread the fire out, went to sleep, and then I woke up at about 1:20. I looked outside the swag and I saw the coals were flying, the ambers, because the wind had picked up, and it's so windy up here. So I thought, well, I better be responsible and put water on the fire. Whereas the first night I was here, I just spread it out and the fire died down, burnt down. As I was pouring water on the fire, up behind me, but a lot closer, was that screamer noise at 1:20 a.m. So I had a good look around the campsite. I couldn't see anyone or anything. Jumped back in bed. And then I heard that noise within 30 metres, and there's two of them just talking to each other. So I yelled out, "Hello! I can hear you!" And I'm talking to them like this, and I'm just saying something different every time. Or I'm saying, "Thank you for talking to me." I think the first thing I said was, "Is that you, hairy brother?" So they were just openly talking back and forwards, and this went on and off for hours. And I'm just laying in the swag, and I probably called out about 8 or 10 times. So that was the first time they were comfortable enough to openly talk, not whisper. And they're like I said, they're within 30 metres, and they're just openly talking, and like just probably as loud as I'm talking right now to the camera, because it was that windy. The wind would have been muffling it out as well. One other thing I heard was one single thud. So that could have been a foot stomping, like thud, at a standstill. It could have been a thud mid-flight, like a run, or it could have been a rock. But to describe the intensity of the thud, the rock would have had to have been about the size of a 1 to 2 litre Coke bottle. And the range that I heard it in, it was right behind my car. And I was laying down in the swag with the sound of hearing it, and I could also feel the outside vibration from that distance. So it might have been 15 metres, 10-15 metres away, 10 metres, easy. But it was one single thud. Like I said, it could have been non-physical footstep, physical footstep, non-physical, like running through camp, or they're just standing there going doof, who knows. So that was pretty exciting. So why didn't I get out of the swag? Well, it was freezing cold. I was interacting with them, I was talking to them, and every time I'd talk, they'd do this screamer back and forwards to each other. They were talking to each other. So it is baby steps. They're openly talking right next to my campsite now, in my campsite, and I'm happily just yelling out from the swag. So tonight I'm not going to light a fire. I'm going to go to bed early and then engage with them again in the morning, because I've noticed they're waiting until I'm well and truly cutting trees down in my sleep. Got the chainsaw going, that's when they're coming in, about 1, 2 a.m. So, and if you think about it, you know, this is my first time interacting with them like this. Is this their first time engaging a human? who is engaging them. You know, they could probably sit on the outskirts in this national park and just watch people over the years in these campsites, and they might come in the campsites and who knows whatever, but this might be the first time that they've got someone actively engaging them back. So it's a process for them as well, I suppose, if you want to look at it that way. Even though they do have the higher ground in a way, because this is their, they're more attuned to this area, and they can go unseen, and they can move in the bush like nothing else. And they can probably obviously see in the dark, but that's not a reason to be scared. Last night I was very calm. I was just yelling out and talking to them, and it was actually fun. I had a massive smile on my face. And after I had woken up and put the fire out, I'm laying in bed. When I first heard them talk, they spoke twice, whether they're one being talking 2 times or to each other, but every time I got a sensation through my body, just tingles, head to toe. And then it dissipated after about 2-3 seconds. They spoke again, tingles head to toe, all through my body. And then I said, "Hello, hairy brother," and then my whole body was just vibrating. Like, just, it was really cool. Whether that's anything to pick up on, I don't know if that's anything, but it's just my observations in the moment of that experience. But after yelling out back and forth a few times, or talking, it was just quite normal. I had a walk around the campsite. I couldn't find any footprints, nothing like that. No stick structures. I know they leave stick structures sometimes for people, but so that was my 5th night solo camping deep in this national park, and it was my 4th night at this campsite. So last night was non-eventful. I went to bed early, and then I woke up early as the morning. Not sure what the time was, but it started raining. So it was just a consistent drizzle for a few hours. And everything's wet this morning. This seat's wet. I got the dryzer bone on though, so hence the name dryzer bone, should keep me dry. And I'm still wiping sleep from my eyes. The sun's coming up. The birds are just starting to wake up. So last night was fairly non-eventful. Didn't hear any noises. Nothing of that nature. The Yowie people might not want to get wet either. That's understandable. They don't want to be out in the rain. Maybe 3 nights of interacting with me was enough. I'm sure they've got desires, duties, tasks that they wish to achieve in their day-to-day lives. Maybe where the humans come, these campsites are further away from where they're set up. Maybe it's done like that on purpose. Organised for organised prior, you know, people knowing what's going on. So maybe they had to go a fair bit out of their way to come say hello. Who knows? Maybe they have cavern systems. Maybe their existence is a secret because humans tend to be scared of what they don't know. they might come out and try and hunt them. So could be heaps of different factors, but without a shadow of a doubt, I know for certain that 3 nights prior to tonight, I was having interactions with something. So my heart is full. My human experience is expanded more, oh so more. That beautiful craft coming out of this ridge line on my first night here, it just manifested ever so gracefully and just quietly moved behind the trees and materialized and then dematerialized the other way. Absolutely wonderful. Having a Yowie yell at me. I'm just tuned into my surroundings. Yesterday I just slept on this seat for most of the day. Reclined it. It's a recliner seat. And it was freezing, so I had all my jumpers and jackets on, and I was just laying in the sun, listening to the birds. So a massive success and a big win-win this whole trip. One thing happened last night, but I just can't guarantee that it was real because I was half asleep. I know I was asleep because I was dreaming and I was aware of my dream and I was sleeping on my side, and I was awoken to someone running between the head of my swag, where my head was, and the car, which is only a distance of 2 meters. Someone ran straight through this camp, and I heard about 6 footsteps, and it woke me right up. So it could have been a part of my dream, may not. It could be something, it may not be. That was the only thing that happened last night. Every other experience prior to that, I was fully awake, fully aware, very present, with adrenaline in my body, so my senses were firing. I can't mistake what happened prior to last night, but last night I just can't guarantee that it was something. Yeah, this place is beautiful. I think I made a comment in an earlier video a couple of days ago, or yesterday, I'm not sure, about Earth being a ghetto. And my reference to that comment is a meme of a little alien dude, and he's got a beer in his hand and he's slumped on the couch and he said, "Yo, Earth is ghetto AF." So that's my reference to that comment, and I've used that comment quite a number of times in my own life. I'm definitely not racist. Racism isn't a part of this experience. You're not going to have this experience. How are you going to interact with different kinds of peoples? The hairy man or the ETs, if you've got that in your awareness, in your personality. So you've got to let go of all of that. And it's a little bit heartbreaking. There's a site, a sacred site in this national park that I went and visited, where the remnants of Aboriginal people have been decimated. It was a burial site of theirs. And I just felt a wall as I walked into the area, and a tear came out of my eye, and it just hit me, and I was just overcome with sadness, and everything came up about what we're experiencing on Earth right now. How are we going to interact with all these other beings who we're sharing space with, on planet and off planet, if we can't let go of those programmed ideas, racist ideation of, you know, someone looking different to you? I know we are all one. I can find commonality, more commonality with all my brothers and sisters here and off planet than differences, I suppose. Maybe that's why I'm out here having these experiences. Sorry, I just woke up. I'm still wiping sleep from my eye. Get a sore throat out of here cutting timber. You know, maybe the Yowies don't like humans. As I was driving in, I passed logging trucks. We're cutting down the edges of their home. We're confining them even tighter. You know, that saddened me. I know we need timber for our building and furniture and stuff like that. It's we've got a few problems on Earth. We need to look at how the Aboriginal people were living. You know, people talking about racism, people think they're smarter than the Aboriginal people because they didn't create skyscrapers and airplanes, and they didn't need that. They had a successful society, no disease, no poverty. The only way we are going to survive in the future is if we merge aspects of that into our society. We've moved and progressed too quickly, technologically. There's plastic everywhere. We've got the spiritual understanding of ourselves and our connection to the land hasn't stayed with our egoic technological progression. We think we're so smart. We're not. And I don't want anyone to feel sad because I use a phone to get around. Social media, stuff of that nature. Maybe I need to stop, or do less of. But I know from our original custodians on this land, you know, they had something right, and they've lost. They still have the knowledge, but it's been decimated so bad that they've lost that. I don't know if they can ever go back to how they were. All is creator, all is source. Everything happens for a reason. Maybe we need to meet, everyone needs to meet somewhere in the middle. You know, the original people of this land, the Aboriginal people, they knew. There's an Aboriginal proverb. We are custodians of this land. We come here, and when we die, we go back to where we came from. It goes something along those lines. They knew where they came from. They knew where they were going. They knew what they were doing. A lot of society has no idea about that anymore. and they knew that they came from the stars. They knew that they came from the Seven Sisters, the Pleiades. And a lot of that knowledge hasn't been lost. A lot of Aboriginal people in Australia still know that. Oh, black cockatoos. I tell you what, I've seen some black cockatoos out here this trip. It makes me so happy. We don't see them back home. 4 just flew over, red-tailed black cockatoos. So cool. So yeah, I was driving down to Brisbane one day, pulled over on the side of the road at a sacred site. It's a bit of like a truck stop, tourist pullover area. And there's a sign, and it says, I forget the name of the peoples, but they said that we know we come from the Seven Sisters, and it even had a write-up about the rainbow serpent. And that's a common theme among Aboriginal lore. So they knew they came from the Pleiades, and from what I understand is that their society, their experience, was a place for the Pleiadians to incarnate and have an Earth realm experience. So I bet you didn't know that one. Maybe you did. All those higher dimensional societies, collectives and groups now incarnating everywhere else around the planet to help recalibrate society, understanding, have multidimensional experiences, become aware of their multidimensional selves again. I spoke about the multidimensional nature of reality in a day or two ago. There's a multidimensional aspect to ourselves as well. And people are awakening to this. Doesn't make people more special than others. Just is what it is. We are all one, and we all are from Creator, Great Spirit, Source. It's where we all go back to eventually. They're coming right up to the car.